Hello, I'm the guy who just beat Get Fixed Boy, Terraria's hardest seed, on the hardest difficulty. It was awful. It was one of the hardest games I've ever played. So I set out with one question: is Terraria's hardest mod harder? Calamity is Terraria's biggest and best content mod. Infernum is a separate mod that makes it much more difficult. Fargo's Souls is a mod that adds the longest crafting tree to the game. Fargo's Souls DLC also adds Eternity and Masochist difficulties to Calamity. Technically, these do not mix with Infernum, but we ball. My question is whether crafting the Soul of Eternity, the longest, most complicated recipe in modded Terraria requiring multiple optional bosses, is more fun and difficult than Get Fixed Boy. There are two kinds of difficulty. First is removing any room for error, and second is making something incredibly hard to do. Imagine if Skeletron one-shot you every time you got hit. That is the first kind of difficulty. Not a very hard boss, but there is zero room for error. Daytime Empress of Light is the same. Not the hardest boss, but removing room for error makes the fight much harder. This is the kind of difficulty that Get Fixed Boy exhibits. None of the fights are mechanically challenging, but there is almost zero room for error. This is the worst kind of difficulty. I'm more interested in mechanically challenging bosses. Plenty of room for error, but many errors to be made. Granted, I love Daytime Empress, but that is besides the point. The second thing that is important is our crafting tree. That will drive the entire playthrough. Here it is. Oh wait, my bad. That's the one without the DLC mod. Here's the crafting tree I'll be using. It is comprised of 1,622 unique items and has 1,582 crafting steps. Credit to Beaver AC for figuring that out. Go watch his video in the description down below. A significant percentage of the crafting recipes, even if it's just one piece, require post-Plantera and really post-Moonlord items. So the beginning of this playthrough is really going to be killing Moonlord. Don't worry though, I'm not spreading it across 4 videos this time. I hate myself, so I'll be doing it in just 2. There's more than just Calamity and Fargo's Souls installed though. I added a race mod, so I could choose out of all of these races which one I wanted to be. And the Lycan race, their only detriment was placement speed, so every fight is going to be easier just on principle of being this race. I didn't see why not to choose them. I made the world a medium expert corrupted world, I named it Calamitous Maximus, and I began my journey. So the reason I chose expert is because the mods are designed to be played on expert. They are not supposed to work with master mode. They break in master mode. So I would if I could, but I can't, so I shan't. Unfortunately, the audio file of my first 3 videos corrupted, so you don't get to see the early progress, but nothing too important happened. I got some Dragon Ball key attacks and Goku's power pole, which will be a very important weapon in the run, but to be fair, it's just found in underground chests randomly, and it's not rare at all. I got like 4 of them by the time I got out of Pre-Hardmode. The first step in any run is killing the Eye of Cthulhu. It's kind of like an initiation. So in killing the Eye of Cthulhu, I went to the desert. I came to the desert for 2 things. First, for a shell so I can just teleport to the ocean for fishing so I can get a Reaver Shark and get early molten armor. The other thing was for fossils, which will be important later. Once I found the conch shell, I went home without causing any local disturbances. I made no foolish decisions. None at all. And so I finally got to go and do my least favorite task: fishing. Now, is fishing in minigames fun? Stardew Valley? I would name others, but I can't think of them. Yes, it's fun. But in Terraria, not what I'm looking for. Not why I'm here. I'm not here to fish. But after a half-hour fishing, I finally... Wait, hold on. That's right, you need fishing power 15 from your fishing pole to get a Reaver Shark. Do you want to know what I was fishing with? That's right, 10. So, half an hour wasted, and I'm too lazy to try again. Which means, back to the fossils. Truly a beautiful sight, and what that lets us make is fossil armor, which is actually not a bad armor. Armor equipped and weapon in hand. How hard can the first boss be? Yeah, the fishing didn't work this time either because I still hadn't realized. The Eye of Cthulhu fight was a phenomenal redesign. I only hope that the Eater of Worlds does a similar new and better take on the same old boss fight. And I had this great idea. I was like, I've got a weapon with infinite pierce that rotates at 360 degrees. If I've ever seen a weapon that can kill the Eater of Worlds, it's this one. So, we tried. Now, as you're watching this, if you've never played Infernum before, I know you might be thinking, PB, this boss is so easy. I mean, look at what's happening on screen. You're dealing hundreds of damage per second to a boss that has 130,000 health, by the way. That's a large number for this part of the game. But you're just eating through it. What could possibly be an issue in this fight? Oh, ye poor child. The Eater of Worlds does the silly thing where when you kill it, 2 more spawn. And that's not it. Because, you see, when you kill the 2, you'll never guess what happens next. When I say my heart sank in this very moment, I mean every word, every syllable, and every letter down to my very core. So far, we are 2 for 2 in bosses and Infernum being more fun than they ever were in Get Fixed Boy. I can definitely recommend this so far. That said, the next boss fight has been told to me as one of the hardest bosses in the entire game relative to your progression at this point. Skeletron is one of the roadblocks in this difficulty. When it comes to Skeletron, it is not a necessity to beat him to progress. But if I cannot beat him where I am at, when he is not the hardest, but just almost one of the hardest bosses in the game, can I really call myself a gamer? That's right, I can't, so we fight. After mining some hellstone and crafting my new armor, the molten armor, I went to Skeletron's dungeon. This first fight is just to get the special summoning item that lets me summon Skeletron elsewhere. I really didn't want to build another arena over here just to fight him, so I used the one back at base. When I say this is more difficult than anything I did in Get Fixed Boy, and maybe in any game I've ever played, I stand by that assertion. Okay, yes, I died that time, but I did end up winning, and there's a couple things you need to know if you plan on beating Skeletron as well. Just hear me out. I downloaded the Dragon Ball mod, which gives you access to flight. When Skeletron does this attack, you have two options. You can fall very quickly, or you can fly very quickly. Dodging them manually is almost impossible. When he moves on to create this cage, your best bet is to get going as quickly in one direction as possible, but sometimes you have to bait him for a second to actually start moving in that direction, or else he'll hit the barriers of the cage. Once you get going at full speed and he follows, nothing can hit you, or at least almost nothing, and it's extremely helpful. Every other move is just going to have to be reactable to you. Run quickly, dodge the skulls. The purple things hurt the most because they actually break your armor. A lot of bosses in this game do that when they hit you. So dodge purple over skull, but honestly just don't get hit. And I'm telling you what, when that health bar went full again, and I was worried I was hitting phase 3. I almost tabbed out. That was awful. My first fight with the Wall of Flesh corrupted, so I don't actually have it. That said, this is a faithful recreation, because all you need is bee nades. Queen Bee also corrupted, so just go kill Queen Bee. It's not that crazy of a fight. Get the bee nades, and then instant win. Just watch. And pre-hard mode is just that simple. Tune in next time for hard mode, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Don't if you didn't. Very simple transaction. You give me subscription, I give you more of same content. Fair deal.